Shoot your arrows! Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air and gives the Rams the lead. Robert Woods, touchdown! LA! Goff goes crashing into the end zone. Aaron Donald almost beat the football there. Corey Littleton, have yourself a day. Picked off. Marcus Peters coming off the edge, and Ryan will be wrapped up by Clay Matthews. Everett in stride! Wow!
Franklin Myers gets his hand down there.
Weddle got a hand on it. Did he pick it? He did!
Racing down the sideline is Akeem Talib. Gurley for MVP! Touchdown LA!
Picked off by John Johnson.
Well, it's Dante Fowler who is able to get to Breeze. Greg Zuerlein sends the Rams to the Super Bowl! LA will play for the Lombardi!
Welcome back, guys, to another Downtown Rams podcast. It's episode 283. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen. Joining me, as always, is Alexis Kraft, and it's another draft season podcast because, of course, we're in draft season. It's going to be episode 283, like I said, and we got two quarterbacks. It's a two-quarterback feature. We have Roland Rivers III out of Slippery Rock, and we have Nathan Rourke out of Ohio. Really enjoyed these two interviews, and I'm sure you guys will as well. And so, without further ado, we'll start off with Rivers, and then we'll go into Rourke. Here's the show. All right, guys, joining us on the podcast, we have Roland Rivers III from Slippery Rock. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing pretty good. Definitely appreciative of you guys wanting me on the show, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you all right now.
Yeah, of course. We're excited to talk to you. And just to start this off, we just want to hear a little bit about how you got into the game of football.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I started off playing football when I was 10 years old. I started off as a right tackle and a nose guard. I was fairly decent at both positions, I'd say, but I always had a passion for the quarterback position. And throughout my Pee-wee football, park ball days, I, transitioned from, fullback, linebacker, tight end. I would play quarterback for, back then in those days playing park ball. We didn't throw the ball as much as probably do nowadays, but I would get in as the quarterback when I was around 12, 13 years old, and my role was to throw it deep, get in, throw my deep balls a couple times a game, and that was that. So transitioning into high school, I started tight end as a freshman on varsity, and was really good at that position as well. And I would play JV quarterback, and so just still got my quarterbacking in, but was primary tight end for the varsity team. And going into my junior season of high school, I transferred high schools and was competing for the starting job at Martin Luther King Junior High School, where I transferred to, and ended up hurting my wrist. And the guy ended up who started. When I hurt my wrist, ended up leading us to a 3-0 record. And, he kind of submitted himself as the starter. And the ninth game of the season, he went down with a shoulder injury. We were undefeated 9-0, and he separated his shoulder, and now he's out for the rest of the season. He was a senior. And so I started the 10th game of that season and threw the game-winning touchdown in overtime. The next week, the first round of the playoffs, we're 10-0. I go out and throw for over 350 yards. I had 6 total touchdowns and had a phenomenal game. I'm in the paper like, who was this quarterback coming out of nowhere, throwing this amount of yards just down in the playoffs like that out of nowhere. And so my next game, the second round of the playoffs, I played fairly well, but I threw interception late in that game that kind of, you could say, lost us the game. And so it was still young in my quarterbacking days, but I really took that and put a chip on my shoulder from that, and I committed myself to wanting to be the best quarterback I could be. In those 3 games I started, I threw for like 900 yards and 12 touchdowns, really had a good showing in the 3 games that I ever, started varsity at quarterback. And so going into my senior year of high school, my first year as the full-time starter at my high school, and had a really good year that year, led my team to the playoffs, and ended up committing to Valdosta State after that. So that's kind of my beginning journey with football.
Yeah, and it's definitely quite the journey. I'm just going to ask you, kind of take it back a little bit. Who was your favorite player growing up?
I modeled my game as a young quarterback after Ben Roethlisberger. He was, a bigger quarterback for sure. And, I was always a big kid. I wasn't a fat kid, but it was always just a bigger guy. And, kind of modeled my game after Ben Roethlisberger, Steve McNair, Tony Romo, Brett Favre, all those guys. I wanted to emulate their games and model mine after theirs. So, but Ben Roethlisberger, I have his fat head on my wall back home in Georgia, and so he was my favorite quarterback growing up.
Yeah, and when you started your college career at Valdosta State, and then you ended up transferring to Slippery Rock, what was the main factor for you in choosing to transfer there?
Yeah, so I committed to Valdosta State, which was probably the number one Division II at the time of me coming out of high school. They were coming fresh off a national championship, and I got recruited by an NFL quarterback in Adam Froman, who played at Louisville and played a few years for the Falcons. And, I was brought there to be a 4-year starter type of guy. And, they were like, hey, you're getting under-recruited right now. We understand that. But, you're going to come here and be great, and we're going to get you to where you want to be. You come here and put in the work. So I was a starter down there. And in 2016, I tore my labrum late in the season. And I missed the playoffs in 2016 and missed all of 2017 and recovering from my shoulder. In 2018, once I got fully healthy, I felt the need to get a change of scenery, kind of get away from home. And my quarterback coach, as a true freshman, went up and became the offensive coordinator at Slippery Rock. I felt like we had a pretty good connection, good relationship, and wanted to go up there and kind of just test my faith, see if I could play in the cold and challenge my leadership. If I'm a leader down here in Valdosta, I'll be a leader at Slippery Rock no matter where I go. And just had had that feeling in my spirit that I needed to get away from home and just figure out who I was as a man. And I definitely did that in my time at Slippery Rock.
Yeah, it's definitely you have yourself a little journey there. You've been going back to high school. I want to ask you, when did you know you wanted to play this game, this sport for a living?
Well, growing up, basketball was probably my go-to sport. I'd say it was. In middle school basketball, I was kind of like a phenom in my area. And so, but I always knew I was talented at football. I knew I wanted to be a quarterback growing up, but being a bigger quarterback back then, they were always pointing you into playing linebacker, defensive line, but I knew I had the best arm out of everybody in my school. Anybody who I came across, I was always be the quarterback when we were out in the neighborhood playing football. Everybody wanted me to be the quarterback because I had the best arm and could throw it. So I knew for sure I've always wanted to be a professional athlete. Looked up to guys like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. Looked up to those greats in that aspect and knew that sports would be, what I wanted to do in my life. But I know for sure the quarterback position. And once I got to high school playing junior varsity quarterback, I fell in love with the position, and just love having the ball in my hands, being in between those lines, having to be that leader. And I knew it my ninth grade year for sure that quarterback and being an NFL quarterback is what I wanted to do. But I wanted to be a professional athlete since the age of 9 years old. So that's always been my dream.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just looking back at your time playing in college, do you have a particular favorite play or game or maybe off the field moment that stands out to you as being your favorite memory from your time playing college football?
Well, a lot of thinking of those memories, I think about all the teammates I've had and coaches. I've been blessed enough to play at 2 great universities, play at 2 great high schools, and had, plenty of memories with guys. But one that stands out the most, that comes to the top of my head right now, is this past season, winning the conference championship, going into the fourth quarter down 14 points and coming back and winning that, and winning our conference this past season, giving us an undefeated record. It just was a moment afterwards on the field, taking pictures with all the guys and being named the MVP of that game. It was an amazing feeling, one that I always remember and cherish. So plenty of plays, but that moment right there is one that's definitely special. That was a goal that we set out to achieve, and we got it in amazing fashion, I'd say. So that's probably one that stands out the most right now.
Yeah, and it definitely right off the cuff, in my opinion, I think it really speaks to your character how, you were asked favorite memory player game and you brought up, a team type of thing. But, obviously you can't sell yourself short because, you just won pretty much the Heisman of Division II, winning the Harlan Hill Award. What was that experience like? What did that mean to you? And can you describe your 2019 season a little bit for me?
Yeah, it's hard. As the quarterback, you get a lot of the publicity. Guys are always pointed, when the team does good, they say the quarterback was phenomenal. And the same thing when the team does bad, they point the finger at you. But I've been around the game long enough to know that football is the ultimate team sport. It takes everybody involved to have a successful football team. But at the same time, I do recognize the importance of the quarterback. The ball is in my hands every play. I get to make some pretty important decisions within the game of football, and that's, like I said, I love having that pressure of having to have the ball in my hands and being a star of the show. I love that feeling. But what was the question you asked me again? I want to be specific. What did you ask?
Oh yeah, and then the 2019 season, just taking me through your 2019 season, which was very impressive, I will add.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. But we put in a lot of hard work this past season. We got a new offensive coordinator in Adam Newbauer, who came in and allowed me as the quarterback to have the offense flow through me. And every week I knew that I had to go out there and be prepared, make checks at the line of scrimmage and put other guys in position to make plays. And so it was a special season. I had great teammates and great coaches, and we all came together for one common goal. And so that allowed us to go out there and have the season that we had. But on the individual note, it's something. Winning the Harlan Hill was always a goal of mine. When I got to Valdosta State, we had a former Harlan Hill trophy winners there, and every time I would walk in that facility, I would see Dusty Bonner's Harlan Hill trophies, and I had to get one. I wanted to leave out as the best player in Division II football. When I first committed to play at Valdosta State, I felt at that time as a young guy that I was the best player playing Division II, and that was always the confidence that I had in myself. So to end my senior season on that note, it doesn't get any better than that on an individual note. And it makes me want to work harder now. I want to be the best Harlan Hill trophy winner ever. I want to go on and have a great career and represent that trophy, that name, Harlan Hill, the whole Division II, and to the best of my ability. So, special thing, but I know there's more work to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you kind of touched on your teammates earlier. You played with a lot of really talented guys during your time playing in college, but you also played against a lot of really tough competition. Is there any one guy or maybe two guys that stand out to you as just being, really tough competitors that you went against in college?
Yeah, for sure. Shahan Williams, he's a defensive tackle out of Notre Dame College. I think in our playoff game in 2018 against them, he took over the game in the fourth quarter. I think he sacked me like 3 times and was just very disruptive that entire game. He's definitely a baller and the guy that I respect. Another guy would be my own teammate, Brad Zaffram, linebacker right now. He's going into the draft as well. And, he was the toughest guy to go up against in practice. He was always around the football. And, I'm excited to see where his football future takes him because he's a great player, a leader, and overall a good dude. So, like I said, played some stiff competition at Slippery Rock and at Valdosta State, two of the best conferences in Division II football. And I feel like that prepared me for sure to go to the next level and be successful.
Yeah, of course. And, Roland, what would you say is your biggest strength, as a player?
I'd say as the quarterback, my leadership stands out, my love for the game. People are able to gravitate towards me in that sense. And I believe I'm a leader of men for sure, which you have to be playing the quarterback position. But from a physical standpoint, I believe I got the strongest arm in America, honestly, in the world. I'm very confident in my arm talent, my deep ball, and just my ability to manipulate the pocket and maneuver. I don't get sacked often. I'm not the fastest guy in the world, ran for 700 yards this past year and 9 touchdowns. But I feel like my feel for the game of football and knowing when to take off and run, or, my eyes are always downfield. So, that ability to be mobile, like I said, I modeled my game after guys like Ben Roethlisberger, Tony Romo, and Steve McNair, not world beaters as far as running the ball, but were effective with their legs. So just my ability to manipulate the pocket and make every throw on the football field and some would be my highlight abilities.
Yeah, for sure. And, as the draft approaches, is there anything that you're looking to improve on?
Just sharpening my mechanics, becoming a better student of the game, getting around people and learning, becoming a better leader. Getting to the next level, I want to surround myself around the people who've, been successful in the league for a long time and try to pick their brains so I can be the best professional I can be. I want to play the game of football for a long time, and whatever I can do to enhance my ability to do that, I'm looking forward to doing. So just being an all-around professional is something that I know I want to get better at and improve and just be the best I can be.
Yeah, and coming into the NFL, is there a scheme that you really would like to play in more than, others?
I played for 4 or 5 different offensive coordinators in college. So I wouldn't say I'm a system quarterback, but I can play in any system. Whatever you ask me to do, I believe I've worked at being able to make throws on the run. I can make every throw in the pocket. I'm just a thrower of the football, elite thrower of the football is what I believe I am. And so, but any offense that will allow me to go out and have to read defenses, have to read coverages and be able to make every throw on the field. I believe my football IQ is another thing that stands out. I got coached by Kerwin Bell when I was down at Valdosta State. He played 12 years professionally and was SEC Player of the Year for the University of Florida in the 80s. And he really showed me how to be a pro-style quarterback and make checks at the line of scrimmage and just be in control of an offense. And so I feel like I can play in any offense, but one that'll let me show my talents, my arm strength, playing with some weapons outside. We can stretch the field vertically. I believe I can take advantage of guys like that. But any offense, I feel comfortable with myself being able to play in.
Yeah, and this next question is a fun question that we just like to ask different quarterbacks who come on the show. But if you had to pick one wide receiver to throw a touchdown pass to in the NFL, who would that be?
My guy, Jody Fortson. He's on the practice squad this past year for the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's going into his second year in the NFL. And I just can remember those long nights. And, back at Valdosta State, us dreaming of these opportunities to play at the next level. I was actually on the phone with him not too long ago talking and stuff. So he would probably be my number one guy right now. If I could throw a touchdown to my man Jody, that'd be amazing. But as far as guys that are established in the NFL, I would say, throwing a touchdown to Julio Jones or Julio Jones. Antonio Brown isn't in the league anymore, but he's one of my favorite guys. I believe he had elite talent. But Larry Fitzgerald, an all-time great like that, maybe getting to play with a guy like that. Or anybody, just having an opportunity to play football at the next level would be a blessing.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear you there, and I think that's a great response. Obviously, Larry Fitzgerald is one of the game's best on and off the field. My next question for you is Rams related because we are a Downtown Rams podcast. I want to ask, and I'm not sure if you're going to have an answer for this yet because I know it's a little early in the process, but have you met or spoken with the LA Rams yet?
Yeah, I have. They came through Slippery Rock this past season to meet with me. And, the Rams is an organization I definitely respect. They got Todd Gurley and Jared Goff and Sean McVay and a few years removed from the Super Bowl appearance. So I know they require excellence within the organization and they have the will to want to be great. And that's the type of team I would love to go to where the pressure is on to be the best you can be and win Super Bowls. I winning this award right here, I'm thirsty and hungry for more. I want to continue having achievements like that, and being a part of great teams is amazing. You know, on the field and off the field, just being a winner, it translates to everything you do in life when you get that taste of success you want in every area of life. So being a part of a team like that would be awesome.
Yeah, well, we certainly love to hear that and love that answer. And, you know, just in closing, in your own words, you know, who would you say is Roland Rivers III as a player, and who is he as a person?
As a player, I'm a guy who loves the game of football. I play the game of football for my love of the game. It's not for, you know, I realize what money can do and how that can impact my family and the dynamics of my life and all of that. But, you know, that's not what really motivates me to want to get better and stuff. I love the game of football. I love being in between those lines. I love the process of getting better. You know, you put so much time and effort into training summers and off season to play in the NFL 16 games, but for me in college it was 10, 11. You know, you put so much time into just a few hours throughout the year, but you gotta love that process. I love the process of football, from meetings to film to practice, everything that camaraderie of being a part of a team is something that I love and I enjoy being a part of. From a player physical standpoint, being in between those lines, I'm a guy who's going to give max effort on every snap, every rep. I'm going to make sure I do everything I can to put my team in a position of success as the quarterback and a leader, a guy who's going to lead by example. So that's me as a player for sure, and can make all the throws. I mean, I believe I'm a highlight reel, a creative player. When I'm out there on the field, I got the utmost confidence in myself. And as a person, I'm a genuine guy, someone who wants to do great things in the community, you know, give back, inspired through the game of football, and ultimately just be a great man. Walter Payton Man of the Year and all of those type of things are goals that I'm going to set for myself. And I believe that you know, I go to the NFL, I get my opportunity, that I won't that I'll make the most out of it. And so, it's because I believe in doing the right thing. So that's me as a player and as a person.
Yeah, well, once again, that another great answer. Roland, we really appreciate you coming on. This has been a lot of fun, you know, getting to learn a little bit more about you. You know, we're really rooting for you, you know, in this process. You know, it's a long one, but, you know, we're going to be fans for life no matter where you go. We'd hope it's the Rams, but no matter where we go, you know, we're going to be following you. So, you know, let's stay in touch and, you know, stay healthy, man.
I appreciate it. Definitely enjoyed speaking with you, too. And I look forward to speaking with you again. We'll see what happens in a month or so. And you never know. I was out in California training at Exos in Carlsbad, San Diego area, and I enjoyed my time out there on the West Coast. So you never know what may happen, but definitely appreciate it and look forward to speaking with you again.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Downtown Rams podcast. We have Ohio quarterback Nathan Rourke coming on. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and, you know, just to start this off, we just want to hear a little bit about how you got into the game of football.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been a big football fan. Even coming from Canada, I fell in love with the game watching the 1996 Green Bay Packers highlight film of the run to the Super Bowl. I always wanted to emulate Brett Favre growing up, and so kind of fell in love with it in that way, and have been playing organized football when I was 5. Started playing tackle football when I was 7, and it's been a passion of mine ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome, Nathan. And, you know, you kind of stole the next question, I assume, because I was going to say, you know, who was your favorite player growing up? It probably would be Favre, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I followed him even when he went to New York and when he was with Minnesota. And, yeah, he's the man. So.
Yeah, for sure. And as you mentioned, you know, you grew up in Canada. So like to go from Canada to the United States as a football player?
It's definitely a little bit of transition. There is several differences with the game. And back home in Canada, we played Canadian rules, the CFO rules, and so they're a little bit different than the American game. And I knew the American game a little bit from watching it on TV, but it wasn't until playing it that I really understood the rule changes and whatnot. And so that was a little bit of a transition, but in terms of the concepts and stuff like defenses and stuff like that all translates. And football is football when it comes down to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you mentioned the CFL and the reason, I was able to find your tape last year. I know you didn't come out, obviously, last year because we're talking to you now. But your teammate, Malik Irons, is somebody that's been on our show. And I just wanted to, get your thoughts on him and what he's done over at the CFL.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be able to play with another Canadian, and have two of us in the backfield, two Canadians in the backfield. My junior year last year, it was really, really, really cool. And there's a couple of Canadians in the NCAA that are making some noise, but I think it's unique to have two of them on the same team and on the field at the same time. So that was definitely a pleasure, and it's been awesome to see him do some really good things in the CFL and with Hamilton.
Yeah, and before you played Ohio, you played some JUCO ball and then transferred to Ohio. What was it like, or I guess I should say, what was the main factor for you in choosing Ohio?
For me, it really came down to for two things, really. It came down to the consistency that Ohio has at their coaching staff. Coach Solitz has been here for 15 plus years, I believe, and his offensive coordinator and until last year, his defensive coordinator has stayed pretty consistent throughout that time, and that's really rare in college football, where college coaches are really coming in and out of schools like a revolving door, and to be able to go to a program that has that much consistency with my position coach and with the head coach is really rare. I want to take advantage of that. That really attracted me to OU. And but secondly, it was just the amount of things that I thought that Ohio did offensively that would set me up for the next level. I thought that there was more that they were doing here in terms of putting the quarterback in pro types of positions, in terms of IDing defenses and making protection calls and ID calls and stuff like that. That's all stuff that translates, and I thought that put me in a better position to have success in the future at the next level.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely a response, and it makes a lot of sense as why you chose Ohio. I do want to ask you though, when did you know you wanted to play the game of football for a living?
It's been a goal of mine ever since I think it was before high school. I remember sitting down with my parents and telling me that this is something that I wanted to do, and we kind of made a list of everything that we needed to do to be able to put myself in the best position to do so. And coming from Canada, it's been difficult. As you said, I've been in a couple of different places to get to where I've been, and it's so I might have to do that again to get to the NFL. And so, so it's been a goal of mine for a long time, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to finally making it a reality.
Yeah, and just looking back at your time playing college ball, do you have a favorite memory, player, game just from your time playing?
I think over the 3 years that I was at Ohio, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is the fact that I was a part of 3 consecutive bowl champion teams. It was a little bit short of what we wanted to do in terms of being MAC championships. It's always been the goal. But that's something that rarely happens, and it hasn't happened in the MAC for a very long time. And so I'm incredibly proud to be a part of 3 consecutive bowl champion teams and to never lose a bowl game. And I think that that's pretty special in my mind.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, obviously we talked about you playing with Irons, but there were some tough players that you went up against. Do you have one in particular that really stands out as the toughest you went up against in college?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer for you. We played, like you said, a lot of really good players, a lot of good teams. I think that games like the game that we played at Cincinnati my junior year was definitely a game that stood out to me, just the in-state rivalry and the atmosphere there. So I mean, and then the games that we had, we're so fortunate to be able to have midweek games and to be able to play in front of national audience, and so those games are pretty special as well. So I have to say those two, and I don't have there isn't a player that sticks out to me, but there's definitely some games that stick out.
Yeah, and just looking at yourself and your game, what would you say is your biggest strength as a player?
I think that just being able to make people miss and be elusive, I think that's definitely a strength that separates me from other players. I'm not the quickest, I'm not the fastest, but I think I can make people miss in space, and so I think that's always come a little bit natural to me. I've been working on everything else in terms of the passing game and really trying to make that an improvement of mine, to be able to show people at the next level that I can make the throws and make the reads and whatnot. And I'm still working on that, but that's something that I think is a strength of mine.
Yeah, and what would you say is one area of your game that you're looking to improve on?
I think we're all kind of, as athletes, try to get consistency and be more consistent, and I'm no different. I think that at times I struggle to be consistent, and in terms of being accurate and being able to make consistent reads and be able to see what the defense is giving me. And I think I did a better job of doing that as I got older, and I improved on that, especially my mechanics and being able to sit in the pocket and be able to make throws and when there's a guy in my face and stuff like that. So those things are what the people at the next level are looking at. NFL scouts, CFL scouts are looking at. And, I'm hoping to be able to show somebody that I can do that and I can be consistent at the same time.
Yeah, and this next question might not have an answer to it, but is there a particular scheme that you like to play in more than others?
No, I don't have a preference at this point. I think, like we kind of talked about earlier, this has been a goal, a dream of mine to play professionally for a very long time, and at that point, it would just be, I'd just feel so blessed and so fortunate to be able to just have the chance to play for any team, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make the 53.
Yeah, and I mean that's a great answer, Nathan.
Thanks.
Real quick, I do want to touch on the NFLPA Bowl because you actually obviously you were there, and you were a Senior Bowl watch list quarterback for the year as well. So you were really putting your name out there, and I was unable to attend the Collegiate Bowl as it's literally across the country from me. But I will say that I heard your name a lot. What were your overall thoughts on competing at the Collegiate Bowl, and how do you feel it helped you throughout this draft process?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. I was so fortunate to be able to take part of that. Some really good players, and the best part about that was that we were working with NFL coaches and former players. That the NFLPA put on a great event. I got to learn and work with Hugh Jackson, former NFL coach and head coach, and learn his offense. And he's got some West Coast roots, and so the terminology is still very evident in NFL offenses today. So even when I was preparing for pro day as I am now, and I was working with my position coach on the whiteboard talking football and stuff like that, there was some terminology that was familiar to me because of the time at the NFL. Another good thing was that we were learning a lot, and I had to learn a lot of stuff, a lot of volume of stuff, of plays, and being able to do that. And I had to do it at a very quick time. Like my first night I get there's a whole bunch of stuff that I have to learn, a lot of things, new plays and stuff like that. And I think that's going to set me up in the future if I was at an NFL camp to be able to have to learn very quickly and to be able to adjust on the fly. It was a good experience to kind of get your toes wet. What an NFL experience would be like as a rookie.
Oh, that's awesome. And this next question is just kind of a fun question that we like to ask, quarterbacks who come on the show. But if you had to pick one receiver in the NFL to throw a touchdown pass to, who would that be?
Playing or retired or just Both.
Anybody. It could be either.
I think players like Randy Moss are just, you can just kind of throw it up to them and let them go get it. I think those fat players that quarterbacks dream of throwing the ball to. Obviously, greats like Jerry Rice. I think in the game today, I think someone like Larry Fitzgerald who can take a young quarterback under his wings and really be able to have an understanding and perspective of what it is, what it's like to be able to have longevity in the league, but also to be able to play at a high level for such a long time. Those kind of players are the people that I would really like to play with, and hopefully that's a possibility in the future.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Randy Moss thing, he's probably going to have to come out of retirement like your buddy Favre did.
I was just talking about. Yeah, I know. I was just talking about Larry.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But I do have to ask you, because we are a Rams podcast. Have you met or spoken with the Los Angeles Rams yet?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Yeah, and I could speak for both Jake and I. We are big fans of your game, and we are going to be fans, no matter where you go. And we really think you're going to do big things at the next level. So we're excited for you to do that. But, just in closing, in your own words, who would you say is Nathan Rourke as a player, and who is he as a person?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, first of all, for saying that. I mean, I think, and this is what I'll be telling, this is what I've told scouts and for teams and people who are representing teams, is that I really do love the game. I have an extreme passion for the game, and all the little things that people might think are monotonous or just tough to deal with, like practice and watching film and working out. Like, I enjoy all those things. Those things are great for me. So I'm going to do. It's going to be really easy for me. It's really easy for me to work hard because I enjoy what I'm doing, and that kind of passion and that kind of love for the game. I want to be contagious. I want to be able to lead by example. I want to be able to be the hardest worker in the building, and I want to be able to just be a sponge to wherever I end up. And I'm really, really looking forward to being able to live out a goal that I've had for a very long time. And I think that the biggest reflection of character is just by how you live and how you behave and how you carry yourself. And so I just like to be able to have the opportunity to show that to an NFL team.
Yeah, absolutely, Nathan. Really appreciate taking the time to kind of give us some of your story. Obviously it's pretty awesome hearing that, clearly this has been a goal of yours for a while. Like Alexis said, we'll be rooting for you. Let's keep in touch, stay healthy, and good luck the rest of the way, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Alexis.
Yeah, of course. Have a good one.
You too.